Welcome to our devotional for this week. We will be looking at unjust deserts. Our psalm for today is Psalm 37, verses 1 through 7. And the text we will be using for our devotion is Job 34, 10 to 15. Let us begin with Psalm 37. Fret not yourselves because of evildoers. Be not envious of wrongdoers, for they will soon fade like the grass and wither like the green herb. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and befriend faithfulness. Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust in him, and he will act. He will bring forth your righteousness as the light, and your justice as the noonday. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not yourselves over the one who prospers in his way, over the man who carries out evil devices. And Job 34. Therefore hear me, you men of understanding. Far be it from God that he should do wickedness, and from the Almighty that he should do wrong. For according to the work of a man he will repay him, and according to his ways he will make it befall him. Of a truth, God will not do wickedly, and the Almighty will not pervert justice. Who gave him charge over the earth, and who laid on him the whole world? If he should set his heart to it, and gather to himself his spirit and his breath, all flesh would perish together, and man would return to dust. Our devotional reading is titled Unjust Deserts. His three elders couldn't shake Job from believing that he was blameless, so Elihu challenged him. He too fell into the trap of trying to explain God's unrevealed motives, mixing truth and fiction in a manner we still hear today. Elihu wasn't totally correct when he said, according to the work of a man, he will repay him. God's justice is much more severe than Elihu imagined. He cannot repay any good we do, for no truly good work comes from sinners. God's mercy likewise exceeds Elihu's imagination, for he doesn't treat us as we deserve. If paybacks are hell, then Jesus experienced hell's pain on the cross instead of us. God placed full blame for our sin on his Son and punished him accordingly. But to us, he gives full credit for Christ's righteousness. Troubles aren't punishment for specific sins. God punished Jesus for all sin. If we suffer, it's for guidance and correction. When friends misapply God's judgment toward us, Christ reminds us that he bore the consequences of God's unperverted justice toward sin. He repays faith by giving stronger faith and remaining our one true friend in every time of need. I think that those words are so important to us during these times. In fact, I was just discussing with some other pastors about how people are understanding this disease that is afflicting us, what COVID-19 means for us and our world. And I think these words are so right. It is not proper for us to say that God does not punish sin. Of course he does. And it isn't also correct for us to say that, well, all of that was laid on Christ. It's true that the proper and full punishment of our sin was laid on Christ. But God will still allow us to encounter suffering, but not simply in a wrathful way. He always has us encounter suffering that we might trust in Jesus Christ, and trusting in him, have life in his name. And I think that's a really important understanding for us, that every little bit of suffering we encounter in this world is a call by God to come back to him, to realize that the things of this world that we tend to put our trust in our sinful nature, well, those things just cannot endure. The only thing that endures is Jesus Christ. The only thing that will bring us out of this world and into eternal bliss and joy is Jesus himself. And that when we trust in him, all the other good things of this life are multiplied and added to us for all eternity. And so I hope that you can see during this time of trial, even as we are worrying about what tomorrow might hold, and even as we're praying for our loved ones who are sometimes in very vulnerable places, and maybe you yourself are in a very vulnerable place, recognize that God is still your God. He still loves you, and that in all of this, He is calling you to trust not in this world, but to trust in what He has done for you already in Jesus Christ's death on the cross and in His wonderful resurrection, proving that even death itself has been defeated. What a wonderful God we have. And I hope that you find this devotion helpful. Alleluia, Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. Alleluia.